This week in games, we talk all about the Game Awards, the winners, the losers, the announcements, and really, really stupid mistakes. This is the Two Penny Gamescast. What's poppin', players? Welcome back to the Two Penny Gamescast, episode 177. I am your host, Tavin Bothel, here with my good friend and co-host. Say hello to the people, Connor Elliott.
Hello to the people. The difficult part is when I mime out your spiel that you always do. But it's getting the episode count right.
You
never see, I never look it up, so I'm having to just go off what I think it's going to be. I was close this time.
What did you say? What did you think it was?
I think it was going 73.
Oh, but no. We've done a few more since then.
We had done a couple more.
Yeah.
Maybe next time.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Two Penny Gamescast, where me and Connor come to you each week, Tuesday, 8 a.m. Central Time, youtube.com/@2pennygames, and mainstream podcast services of your choice. Just search up Two Penny Gamescast and you will find us, in which we break down the nerdy news you need to know concerning the video game industry. We each come to you with two topics, two pennies, if you will, and we give you our 2 cents on them. And we certainly are going to give a lot of 2 cents on this episode because there's not a lot of news this week. Well, there is, but it's all concerning the Game Awards, which we talked about a lot last week. It was our predictions episode. Go watch that to go see what we thought was going to happen at the Game Awards, and then come back here and we'll break it all down on what did happen at the Game Awards for 2023. So, to this episode, gonna be pretty much all Game Awards talk. We're gonna talk about our thoughts and opinions. We're gonna talk about the awards because somebody has to. We're gonna talk about all of the announcements. Good Lord, do we have to? If we can, I guess so. Whatever. And then we're gonna talk about sort of what we would like to see in the future. I'm going to try my best to condense this and make it as concise as possible as we go through it. We tend to go kind of long when we do episodes like this, so let's see how we do. Connor, how are you doing this week, friend?
Oh, I'm doing good. I got really drunk during the Game Awards.
Yeah, you did.
So, recovered from that the following day eventually, and it was only uphill from there.
There you go. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, as I said before, we predicted the awards and the announcements of the Game Awards last week on the Two Penny Gamescast, episode 176. Just go give that a click, go give that a watch. We certainly would appreciate it. Make sure you give this one a like and a share. We really do appreciate whenever we can get the word out on how awesome this podcast is, because it is the best gaming podcast on the internet. I will take no inquiries on that. So
I wouldn't either.
As long-standing viewers of the podcast know, we do we do kind of a yearly friendly competition where we give our predictions and we score it at the end. What we normally do is for the awards, you get 2 possible points, one for what you voted for and one for guessing what will win. For example, let me do it here. Well, yeah, let me spoil it a little bit. Most anticipated, I voted for and expected Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Phil voted for Hades 2 and expected Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. It was Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. So, I got 2 points. Phil only got 1 in that case. And then we're going to break it down a little later. And then, of course, we got 3 points for the announcements that we predicted, and then a potential extra bonus 2 points for a little bit of spice that we could have gotten for sort of some get hype moments. And none of it happened. No, none of our announcements were correct, or none of our predictions were correct, and none of the spice happened. It just didn't happen. So this year, the final score, all 100%, came down to the awards. And I've got the breakdown of the points right here from what I drunkenly wrote Thursday night. So I have Phil trailing in third at 27 points. I have myself in second place at 30 points. And then Connor, congratulations, you took home the gold, first place with 32 points.
There we go.
Congratulations, my friend.
Damn,
this is your second time winning, and it was a close race this time. Usually there's a good number of points in between us. This one, only 2 points between first and second, and then between second and third, only 3 points. So a 5-point differential in total. Pretty close.
Yeah.
Usually I feel like it's usually a double-digit differential between us all. But yeah, this year, fairly close, and that's exciting. And I'll say, I would have had it if we gotten that fucking Hellblade Senua's Saga release date. Would have been mine.
Well, that was reasonable to think that. Unreasonable to probably not do that, which is, of course, what happened, because you had to, the universe had to make you lose so I could win. It's on my side.
Indeed. Connor, let's get into it. Let's talk about the award show. Let's go ahead and start with our thoughts and opinions. I want to start with you, Connor. What did you think about the 2023 Game Awards?
Well, I feel like, this is me, of course, looking back on it. I would always say the award ceremony themselves were, pretty good. Maybe they were okay. Maybe they weren't that good. And the announcements were spot on. They were great. Most memorable part about this award show. But that's not the case this year. I very much enjoyed the lead up to the winners, the announcement of them, and who exactly won, plus the speeches that came afterwards. Whereas with the announcements, there were a couple of things to, for me to chew in on. For the most part, they were just very much games I didn't really care for all that much. More of the smaller titles, indie titles, those were very heavy in this Game Awards. Not as big as the AAA titles. And if there were AAA titles, we really just got a lot of revealed trailers, cinematic trailers, not a lot of in-gameplay kind of stuff. So a lot of the games that were announced that did look potentially interesting, I don't know how they're going to play. There was a slight disappointment in the sense of what was announced, because obviously I was not right with any of my predictions. You were the closest to being right and just got screwed from the release date for Senua's Sacrifice, which that in and of itself also didn't even have that much of an impactful showing. Saga. And I was just kind of waiting for the big thing to drop, and it never did for me. So that was my overall... I wouldn't say I was disappointed, because overall the award ceremony, with how good those winners and leading up to it, since it was such a great year for games, really had me sitting on the edge of my seat, wondering who was going to win during our little voting segment that we did. So overall, I would say it's a pretty enjoyable, memorable Game Awards. Though definitely has some more glaring problems at the same time than other shows in the past have had. So, hopefully they'll fix some of those things. And I've already seen some talk on Twitter that, of course, we'll get into more, of people saying this was wrong, this was wrong. And so far, Keeley, who represents these Game Awards, has been pretty, or at least he seems pretty open to changing some of the criticisms that people had. But, before we get to that, my overall thoughts on it were pretty positive.
Yeah, well, I'm definitely higher than you are on this. First of all, I want to say I think your hang up about the announcements is fucking insane, because I thought we had a lot of great trailers, a lot of great announcements, a lot of really exciting things. I understand a lot of it wasn't gameplay. We did get gameplay for quite a few games, and those all looked awesome. But this is the Game Awards. It's not the Summer Games Fests or the E3s or the showcases and anything like that. I'm not expecting heavy gameplay trailers from the Game Awards. I'm expecting just a lot of oh my god, this is coming type announcements, a lot of hype announcements. Is that superfluous, superficial? Sure. Yeah, it is. Would I prefer to see gameplay instead of a CG animated cutscene? Yeah, I absolutely would. But I understand that that's not always what we get here at this show. Overall, I think this is the second best Game Awards show to 2018. 2018, I think, was a very special year. We had the big three on stage. Joker was revealed for Smash, and then it was a landmark year for titles, as well as this one was. This one probably a little more impressive, just pound for pound for game. But 2018 was no slouch either when you look at God of War, Red Dead Redemption 2, Spider-Man, etc. It was a really, really, really good year, and I was very happy with that show. I thought the balance was right. Ever since sort of the COVID years, we've had to kind of re-find ourselves again, and I think last year they had a pretty good idea, and I think this year they've almost perfected it. It's just there's just this big ass glaring problem that I'm sure if you paid even a little bit of attention to the Game Awards, it just as well as I do, and that's it's the speeches, the the limited time that the winners had to give with the speeches. They were given each 30 seconds left, and then a sign would pop up that said, please wrap it up. This is, of course, in reaction to the nearly 8-minute speech of Christopher Judge last year for when he won Best Performance for Kratos in God of War Ragnarok. And yeah, that was too long. This, I think, is a very detrimental and baffling mistake in that it is a overcorrection in the other direction. I agree. We should shorten it. Nobody should probably be up there for more than 5 minutes. That's a lot of time, and we have a lot of show to get through. So I think it makes sense to sort of, start getting music queued up to play them off, have them, give their thank yous and so forth. But 30 seconds is not enough time before that music starts, and every single winner up there felt rushed. And, in a year so tragically marred by, nearly 10,000 jobs lost in the industry, to then not at the event show where we are supposed to celebrate games and the creation of games, you let those creators down and you didn't give them their chance to speak. So it was a poor choice. It was distasteful. It was a little disrespectful. I don't think it was intentionally so. I could see how in production it was like, hey, how long does somebody need for a speech? Like, I don't know, like 30 seconds to a minute, right? Yeah, let's do like 30 seconds. Like, I could see how in production this would make sense, especially because it's like, hey, we have a 3.5-hour show. We need to keep it moving and keep it going. People always complain that there's a pacing issue with our show. I don't think there was a pacing issue this year, except for the speeches. They needed to go longer. A minute and a half, 2 minutes even, I think is the sweet spot here, and I wish they had implemented that with these awards. Of course, there was a conversation of like, man, it sucks that they like bunch a bunch of awards together, and not every award is given equally to there's times where it's like, hey, 5 awards at once. Here you go. Boom, 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 boom. I would argue, you don't need to see every award. We don't. The Oscars doesn't do it. The Grammys don't do it. They do the big ones. And then there's like behind the scenes stuff where at the event you can see it happen and so forth. And I don't know, maybe that needs to be tweaked in a way, but at the same time, I kind of like the way Keighley does it personally in that sense, and I think the big important ones get the spotlight. But that's subjective, and everybody has a different opinion on what the big important ones are. A lot of these Game Award contenders, they only get to be nominated once, and so I imagine, yeah, it would suck if, hey, I never got a chance to go up and speak, and it was my one time that I ever in my life that I'm probably gonna get that opportunity. Yeah, I can see how that would suck. But overall, I think this was a great award show. It just had a baffling. It just had a really stupid choice. It was just a really, really stupid choice to cut the winners off so soon.
Bad PR from some of the specific moments that happened when people were cut off. It's especially compounded by the fact you brought up Christopher Judge from last year, which is why they corrected it. But the criticism that seems to always be persistent in these Game of the Year awards is the celebrities, the big names coming up and getting a monumentous amount of time.
Yeah,
and it was felt it's always been a problem. But when you're cutting off a guy who was talking about someone that died on there, but the director for Tears of the Kingdom, talking about one of the people that worked on the game dying, and you're playing the music to play him off. Meanwhile, you're just like, Kojima, I'm going to suck your cock on stage. And then also have, Timothée Chalamet do... well, no, that's not... He didn't do anything wrong. Anthony Mackie, come on.
Mackie went long. Mackie was freestyling and stuff. And again, like, I think that element of the awards was better than usual.
Oh, yeah, by far.
By far, we kind of kept it moving in those moments. The Kojima segment lasted longer than I would have personally liked to, even speaking as a fan of Kojima. Spoilers, like, OD is 7 years away. Like, we're not seeing that game for a long ass time. And so to spend that much time with Kojima, and then, same story happened with the Larian developers when they win Game of the Year. They're talking about, their dead coworkers, and then Please Wrap It Up shows up on screen. It's like, ooh, that's really distasteful. That's a problem. That should not have happened, and it sucks that it did. So yeah, that I think is the general consensus about the awards and all of that is, hey man, do we need all these celebrity moments? Hey man, do we need to talk to Kojima for so long? Why are we not allowing the people to talk so long? And listen, this show is it's a big marketing push. It's a big trailer moment. You know, it's all about money at the end of the day. And so I get that element of it. I don't hate when, you know, there's 3 Fortnite commercials in the Game Awards. Like, I get it. It's fine. Whatever. You know, or there's commercials for the latest and greatest PC hardware or whatever. I get it. That's fine. But like, I think we're starting to lose sight of why we're in this for the first place. And it'd be nice if we sort of recaptured that a little bit.
One last thing I'll say before we move on, because I know we talked about this for a bit. Keeley did make a statement saying, "Okay, we'll look into the whole speech problem that we had this year and fix it for next year." So the worst thing about this show should be fixed next year. It's just a matter of finding out exactly what they're going to do. So they might change it in subsequent years, but you know, as long as they give them enough time to say their piece rather than just being, you know, off the side or pulled off to the side with the cane, that'll be fine.
And here, I'll cut Keeley some slack. He usually does listen to the criticisms, and he does take it to heart. I always see him on Twitter immediately, and this is after every show he does, where he goes, "Hey, what'd you think? How would you grade it? What do you like? What were your favorite moments? What were your least favorite? What can we do better?" He's always looking to improve, and I appreciate that about Keeley. Because these are massive undertakings that he has. And honestly, we're lucky to have someone like Keeley in this space doing the work that he does. We really are. Are we making mistakes along the way? Yes. But we're finding our balance. We're finding where we need to go and how to do it. And I still think Keeley is currently the best man for the job right now. It's just a matter of like, man, this was so close to being your best show ever. It was so close to being your best show ever. And we just didn't quite get there, which is unfortunate. But Connor, enough of our own personal thoughts and opinions. Let's break down the awards and everything that happened because somebody has to talk about these awards. Keeley won't. I'm kidding. I'm sorry. I keep making that joke. So we are going to go through everything that we talked about in our predictions episode. I've got it all written out here on my notes here. And this is not in the order that they were announced, and it's not everything, but it's most of the things. It's the same. We're skipping the same things we skipped last week. So, Connor, let's go ahead and get into it. Most anticipated game went to Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I don't think that's really a surprise to anyone. It's on the horizon. It's a very highly anticipated game, and you and I especially are very, very excited for it.
The number one most excited game as of right now. I thought Hades 2 was going to win, but you know, it makes sense and deserves to be Final Fantasy VII at the same time.
Yeah. They did release a new trailer for it. Great trailer. Looks awesome.
And
gets me percolating in thoughts.
It really does, especially when you told me that there was another trailer that was released later on and was even better than the first one. I was like, damn, okay, you're just really, really going in with the PR.
They're cooking over there, man. No, over at whatever Square Enix dev studio that is, they're cooking over there. Best adaptation, The Last of Us. Yeah. That made about sense. Again, you know, there were some pretty standout examples this year for adaptations from, you know, video game to movie / TV, you know, with Castlevania Nocturne, the Super Mario Brothers movie. People enjoyed Twisted Metal. Some people liked Gran Turismo, fine enough. But I think Last of Us is just, you know, cream of the crop type stuff. And it really showed out at the beginning of the year. And for it to still have such an influence at the end of the year and, you know, people are foaming at the mouth for more, I think that really shows at how quality the show was. Best multiplayer, Baldur's Gate 3. This
you have the most experience,
huh?
You have the most experience with this this mode of the
current, yeah, currently. This is odd for me. I would have liked to, as I said in the predictions, I would have liked Street Fighter 6 to win. I think Street Fighter 6 did a lot this year in terms of multiplayer and a lot of really cool stuff in it. And you know, I think that probably should have taken it. Baldur's Gate 3 is a really fun experience to do multiplayer. And it's really impressive that the game even works with multiplayer. It really is. To have, you know, a huge ass Western RPG where you're making dialogue choices, you know, building relationships with characters and doing the turn-based combat thing, for all of that to work with a co-op partner or with multiple co-op partners is fucking insane. It's very, very exciting. So like, I get it, but it would not have been my pick. And there's a whole batch of issues that come with Baldur's Gate 3 multiplayer that you don't come across in single player. And so I don't know. 6 in one hand, half a dozen in the other. You know what I mean?
No, because I don't know that expression. But overall, your take on that is I would say accurate. Street Fighter 6 should get a glowing condemnation. That's not the right word. Commendation of getting the multiplayer to work out the gate, because fighting games are notorious for having issues with their multiplayer at launch. It's been way better these past recent years. Street Fighter V's launch was terrible.
Yeah,
not even just on the online side of things, but the game itself. But honestly, Baldur's Gate 3 was the most unique in this year, and I don't think we'll be getting it for many years to come, a multiplayer like it. So I think it is, if ever again, right? I don't know how much effort they had to put into making it multiplayer. I'm assuming it was a lot. So ultimately, I think that was the most deserving one out of all the ones on this list, especially better than Diablo 4. Fuck you, Blizzard! Fuck you!
That was aggressive.
That was
came
very
out
aggressive.
Of nowhere. I wasn't ready for that. Best sports/racing, Forza. Congratulations.
Yep, it's another year.
Yep. Best sim/strategy was Pikmin 4. Cool. That's exciting. Best family game went to Super Mario Brothers Wonder. Again, not surprising. Again, Disney Illusion Island was really cool. I'm gonna ring the bell for it while I can, when I can. Disney Illusion Island was a solid game. Best fighting, Street Fighter 6. It was between that and Mortal Kombat, and I think everybody kind of enjoyed Street Fighter 6 a little bit more.
Yeah, it's Street Fighter. Mortal Kombat has both those are the big names in fighting games.
Those are the top two.
I feel like Street Fighter has consistently gotten more love in recent years, especially with how 5 corrected itself as much as it did and was releasing content in the way it was. Which I say that Mortal Kombat's always have their guest characters from their alternate forms of media. So while it was a big toss-up, I do think it was definitively deserving to be Street Fighter 6 for this year.
I also think Mortal Kombat 1 has just it's coming off of a win streak with Mortal Kombat from MK9 to 10 to 11. Like those 3 games, like all did great stuff, and Mortal Kombat 1 is more of that great stuff. Like they're just kind of like being consistent, and I think them being consistent is sort of making them be a little more forgettable.
Yeah, that's good analysis.
And again, speaking of the biggest fighting game on the planet, it's huge. But, it's just like Street Fighter 6 was just more impressive in that way because it was a little more of an underdog story.
Also, by the way, Mortal Kombat, your button inputs are just different from everyone else. Don't be special, and this is your punishment. Don't be special.
That's funny. But it's the most basic. Anybody can pick up a controller and understand how to play Mortal Kombat.
Not anymore with Street Fighter 6. With its those modern controls. Those definitely make it easier.
Yeah. Those controls are so great, aren't they?
I hate them, but they make it easier.
Best RPG, Baldur's Gate 3. I think everybody expected this, right? Like, that's not a shocker at all. And now that I'm 30 hours deep in Baldur's Gate 3 with Phil, it's the best RPG on this list.
By far.
And it's not even close.
And you brought up Disney Illusion Island. You have to rep it. I'm going to have to rep that Star Ocean Second Story plus R way deserves to be over here on
Nobody
Starfield.
even talked
I know.
about it.
Exactly.
Sea of Stars above that.
I didn't talk about it.
Stars.
No, I'm not. Well, no. But I can understand why it would win over it. This is my personal opinion. My thing is on Starfield. Fuck Starfield. Oh, wow. You get to go to different dimensions and play the same boring game a second time. Whatever. Move on. I say move on so I don't have to defend it as
so you don't have to defend your take because it's a bad take.
Well, I know it's a good take. I just don't want to get in the weeds because this is about more than just Starfield, which was
Congratulations to Baldur's Gate 3. They had the biggest win of the night by far, and we'll get into all of that later. But I mean, already, they're up 2 already just in the ones that we've talked about so far. Best action adventure, Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom. I hard disagree with this. Listen, I understand the idea of the combination between action games and adventure games and finding the middle ground with best action adventure. Best action adventure is its own genre by itself. Like you can't call an Uncharted 4 an adventure game or an action game. It's an action adventure game. You know what you mean when you say action adventure. Tears of the Kingdom was not the best action adventure game to come out this year. No. It's kind of weird that it's even nominated, in my opinion, and it's only nominated because we don't have a best adventure category.
Which we should. That's one they should add.
I mean, it's one of those. It's one of those that like we don't get a lot of them every year. You know, it's the same with survival horror. Survival horror, I think, makes more sense. But like, how many survival horror games are we getting every year?
But I mean, to that point, when we have like action games this year, right? A lot of these ones could be in the action adventure. We will read them a little bit later, like Dead Island 2, Armored Core 6. Those could be, well,
Armored Core 6 is an action game.
Yeah,
I'm thinking more maybe like Liza P.
Liza P, yes.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like there's enough leeway we can give to do adventure games its own category.
And so like I get it. It's weird, you know, and it's hard to do. But yeah, I hard disagree with the Tears of the Kingdom winning in this category. It's Tears of the Kingdom's only win. So it was either going to be this or nothing. But I mean, come on, Spider-Man 2 is right there. Like, and it just fits the criteria perfectly. It's the best Spider-Man game ever made. It's the best superhero game ever made. It's one of Sony's best PlayStation games ever made. Like, it's really quite up there. Other than that, like, Resident Evil 4 would have been cool. I would have liked to see Resident Evil 4.
Yeah.
Hi-Fi Rush. Hi-Fi Rush, I would have been like, oh, cool.
That's an action event. That's an action game, not action adventure.
Is it an action game? Okay.
Yeah, it's definitely it's kind of the same way as Armored Core 6. You can kind of justify it in a way, but ultimately I think it's a losing battle.
Yeah. Speaking of which, best action game, Armored Core 6. I mean, From Software got the juice, man. Like, was anybody expecting anything different, really?
Yeah, people were not really.
I mean, on top of that, Armored Core 6 was a really cool game. Armored Core 6 might be the coolest game of the year. Like it's just kind of badass. Like,
I agree.
Stem to stern.
Going up to people and pile bunking them, that's cool as hell.
So cool. Best VR was surprisingly Resident Evil Village. I wasn't expecting that at all. I was expecting GT7 from a mile away. I thought you were, Connor, when you voted for Resident Evil 8, I thought you were crazy.
Well, Tavin, I said it during our predictions. You know what? There's only one element that game has that all of these other ones don't even have a feature that's close to it, and that is Lady Dimitrescu. Actual view. Actual.
Yeah.
Life-like
you get
comparison.
You get big mommy in that game for sure. Best mobile, Honkai Star Rail. Cool.
Yep.
Best debut indie was Cocoon. Very exciting for Cocoon. I keep mentioning this. I've started Cocoon. I want to get back to Cocoon. Will I get back to Cocoon? I don't know, but I really do want to because it's a really beautiful game.
Pizza Tower was one that people were after the awards saying should have won. I haven't played any of these games, so I can't comment on that from a professional point of view. But Pizza Tower seemed to get way more attention than any of these other games. Like, at least that had a
but we're not talking about most popular. We're talking about best.
We do not.
Cocoon has got that sauce. You know, it's got that artsy fartsy sauce.
I haven't even seen gameplay, so I'll take your word for it.
It's artsy. Best indie, Sea of Stars. I think that makes sense. I don't think there's another, indie game out there or best independent game rather, that made as big of a splash as Sea of Stars. I mean, maybe Dave the Diver, but that was marred in controversy for even being nominated because it's not an independent game dev studio. So why is it nominated? Just because of the vibes? All right, cool. But so yeah, Dave the Diver wasn't going to win, and Sea of Stars, which is the right pick. Sea of Stars is awesome. Best community support went to Baldur's Gate 3.
Dethroning Final Fantasy 14. I don't think there's been a year since that game's made the turnaround where it hasn't won. Maybe
Final
one.
Fantasy had a quiet year.
It
was a quiet year for Final Fantasy. Next year, though, they're going to pop off. So
Undoubtedly.
Congratulations, Baldur's Gate 3 again. Best ongoing game went to Cyberpunk 2077. I think that makes sense.
I saw a ton of people coming out and saying like that doesn't deserve to win because it's not. People were debating the definition of an ongoing game. Other people were saying it's a game that's not a traditional ongoing game that constantly puts out new titles, new features and whatnot, like Apex, like Final Fantasy. And while I definitely understand that second part of it, I believe that the definition of ongoing game can work for anything that continues to improve itself. Especially even if it's one that came out 3 years ago. I think Cyberpunk deserves the recognition for turning it around, and because a lot of times when a game does badly, the studio just cuts it off. They cut their losses and say, "Sorry about it, we're done." But they clearly wanted it to work. Yes. Oh god damn. Look at that. If it was actually a franchise that BioWare wanted to try and stand behind and improve, we would have gotten DLCs because all the other Mass Effects got great DLCs, and not that one. So,
and I mean, like, it's the same idea, like same type of game, same type of game dev studio, and they were competing for a long time. Dragon Age 2 and Witcher 2 came out in the same year, and CD Projekt Red, being the underdog, was fighting and was quoted as saying, "Hey, we put out the better fantasy sequel this year or whatever," and maybe there's some truth to that. And I was very hard on Cyberpunk 2077 when it came out, and I think rightfully so. I still say that is the most disastrous launch I've ever seen in my life. And we've seen a lot of really bad launches, but it should be commended of the work and the effort they committed. They didn't need to. They could have taken their money and said, all right, cool, here's a DLC pack and we're done. But no, they put out a great DLC expansion. They did a great job updating the game and giving it constant updates over the years, especially with the new 2.0 update that seems to have just made it the game that it should have been at launch. It's so impressive to the point of, like, I've been thinking of picking it up. Will I? I don't know. Probably not, but it's a thought in my mind of it, and I think that's impressive.
I remember seeing a video of people talking about how the melee combat was more viable, and they were taking the mantis blades and just doing like this crazy movement stuff, jumping across to close that gap and make up for the lack of ranged weapons. Since I saw that, I was having the same thoughts as you, and the same conclusion, which maybe I probably won't. We'll see. We play games all the goddamn time.
Yeah.
On the show for this show, so it's kind of one of the pitfalls, but
if I can
it is what it is.
If I can get around to Mario 64 for the Game Club and finish that off fast enough, it might be time for some Cyberpunk. But at the same time, I'm chasing a lot of platinum trophies right now. I'm chasing the Fallout Sheltered platinum trophy. I'm chasing the Sackboy: A Big Adventure trophy. I hear the Cocoon trophy's pretty easy, so maybe not. And I'm still trying to get this Metal Gear Solid 1 platinum. It's just it's a lot of it's so disheartening that I didn't get that speed run. Anyways, games for Impact went to Chia. Phil, very upset that Chia won here. He was very, very certain that it was going to go to Venba, and I kept telling him. I told him last week, and I told him when he got awarded, and he went, "What?" I was like, "Nobody played Venba. I'm sure Venba was great. I didn't play it. I didn't play any of these games. Chia made noise. Chia was good enough, and Chia had it. And here we go." Games for accessibility, best accessibility in video games this year, went to Forza. Congratulations, Forza. That's fantastic. It was a good year for accessibility. There was some really good contestants. It was a conversation this year. Sometimes it's like, yeah, these games did okay, but then there was that one game that did awesome. You think of The Last of Us Part 2s and the God of War Ragnaroks in that sense. But this time it was Forza, and well deserved,
And based on the trend, it's only going to go up.
Yeah, I'm very excited. Best performance went to Neil. I didn't write down his last
name.
Neil Newbin for Asterion in Baldur's Gate 3. Get another win for BG3. Congratulations. It's hilarious because Astarion's like my least favorite character in the game right now. And it's the character me and Phil just kind of ignore. And we just have him tossed to the side right now. I think Phil likes him more, but I'm like, I don't care. We're busy doing all this other stuff right now.
And that's fair. But he did give like an amazing voice performance. Once again, though, everyone on this list... I'm sorry, Cameron Monaghan. Maybe not you. That's not your fault. You're a great actor.
Not Cameron's fault.
No, it's not.
Cameron's
it is not.
Good.
We all know this.
Yeah.
Ben Starr, he had the most impact as far as the Game Awards with that light shining on his face and everyone talking about that.
That was funny. Funny meme.
Yeah, it was. But good, Neil. Good job, Neil.
Good for him. And he had a good speech for the very limited time that he was allowed to speak, which was
cut off when talking about LGBT issues. So he was just like LGBTQ issues. So. Yeah, that was the theme of this show with these winners. Best
audio design went to Hi-Fi Rush. Bit of a basic.
No.
Basic.
Devin,
I mean,
perfect.
It's fine. I'm not mad at it. Bit basic.
Fantastic. It's fantastic.
Dead Space remake, everybody. Best score and music went to Final Fantasy 16.
I was honestly as the show was going on, I was almost confident. Okay, it's going to be Alan Wake 2. But I was really satisfied to see that Final Fantasy 16 got its marks for its music. And spoiler alert, the only one award that it won too. So I'm happy it was just recognized in at least one area.
Okay, you got that right.
Mhm.
Best art direction, we have Alan Wake 2. Congratulations to Alan Wake 2. It was a stiff year for art direction. There's a lot of good choices this year, and you know, I'm cool with that. That one's good.
Yeah.
Best narrative, taking home the gold. Alan Wake 2, man. That narrative is insane. That it's a crazy story, and it's incredible that Alan Wake 2 to me pushes forward what we can do with narrative in video games. I think that's a landmark title for the possibility of narrative in video games and what the medium can achieve. And it's very impressive. Alan Wake 2 did that. It's not like The Last of Us. The Last of Us is just like a really good movie that like has been put to a video game and you know has made it work, which is hard to do. But like Alan Wake 2 like has like a Kojima level of, hey, we're gonna experiment with narrative here. Best game direction again went to Alan Wake 2. Alan Wake 2 cleaning up here in the back half. Best art direction, best narrative, and best game direction. Sam Lake. It's that trend of like if you can name the director, it's a pretty good chance that that one's gonna be it. And that I'm not taking away from what Alan Wake 2 did. Alan Wake 2 is one of the better directed games of the year, for sure. Even though I would not have been surprised if like a Baldur's Gate 3 or something would have taken it. Oh, I'm not hearing you, which is weird because your input is coming in. So Discord is registering you, but I'm just not hearing you. Speak again? Yeah, that's weird. I don't think it's a hardware issue because Discord is picking you up. Wow, that's weird. All right, hold on, Hold on, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to fix this.
Maybe now?
There he is.
Ooh.
There he is. That was a little scary.
I was afraid. I was like, oh god, what technical workaround are we gonna have to do now?
All right, I'm gonna see if I remember to cut that out here. About 35 minutes into the podcast. Here we go. Let's see if I remember. Connor, your thoughts on best game director?
Yeah, it was very, as you pointed out, the name brand just really does help push forward whatever game has a big name director on it. Baldur's Gate 3 being one that did, you know, a lot of really cool things that other games just haven't been able to do. So did Alan Wake 2. And Alan Wake 2's heavy narrative focus, I think helped propel it above Baldur's Gate 3. And it's also very cool to see that I only found this out recently when it was people were praising it for winning these awards, that back in 2013, Sam Lake made like a video saying, sorry, we can't make Alan Wake 2 because we don't have enough money. Then Control happened, and then this happened. And now it's all come to a better place.
What a
right?
W. Wow.
Turning it around.
Congratulations to Remedy for that. Remedy has cemented itself as like probably the most interesting game studio out right now. Like they're doing really cool artsy fartsy shit, and it's impressive. And then finally, Connor, the big one, probably to nobody's surprise, but the internet seems to think differently. Game of the year went to Baldur's Gate 3. A big W, a big year this year for Baldur's Gate 3. Congratulations. As I'm playing it, I get it. 100%. It deserves it 1,000%. And I'm excited that it was the one that got it. I'm seeing a lot of, you know, quote unquote internet controversy. A lot of Spider-Man 2 fans are like, what the fuck? How did Spider-Man 2 not win? What the hell is Baldur's Gate 3? And, you know, to that I say, it's just casuals are going to be casuals. You know what I mean?
You're either informed and stupid or just uninformed. You know, what are you going to do?
Oh, what are we going to do indeed? Connor, that is it for the awards. For the most part, I think everything that probably should have won. There were some surprises in there. There's some things I would have rather seen over anything else. But I mean, this year was just such a stellar year for releases that it was really quite impressive that we were able to see so much from it. That's not how that sentence should have been. It was quite impressive that that of how successful it was, I suppose. Ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about all of the announcements and trailers from the Game Awards 2023. We are pulling a Polygon recap breakdown for this, but we're just going to kind of just put our own opinions on this. So, like, just thank you, Polygon, for the work of putting it together for us to kind of to give us structure for this next segment here.
Stealing.
It's not leave me alone, H Bomber guy. First off, Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons from Joseph Fares' studio is getting a remake. Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons, I remember being very, very big in the 360 era, I believe.
Yes.
And being quite impressive. And it looked beautiful. Beautiful trailer. Moments of gameplay and stuff. It looked like Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons to me. I don't know if that, it proves true or not. But yeah, I'm interested to see more. Yeah. February 28th, 2024 is when that's coming. Go ahead.
Sorry, do you have any interest in playing it? Obviously, it's an older game. Yeah.
No. Yeah, not my cup of tea. I'm cool. Inscription creator Daniel Mullins revealed Pony Island 2 Panda Circus. Inscription was one of my top 3 games of the year in 2021. And I freaking love Inscription. It's so cool. And so to see get sort of another game from this creator and for it to look simultaneously hella Inscription like, but also just like completely different in the same way or at the same time is very exciting. And you bet your pretty ass I'm gonna play this game.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be almost like an Alan Wake 2 type situation where it's gonna be this really unique kind of game just based off the trailer. It looks fucking strange.
Yeah. Pony Island 2, I have no idea why they were like, yeah, sure, fuck it, put the 2 on there. Maybe just so that they could get funds, people are going to go buy the first one, probably. That makes sense. The Rise of the Golden Idol has been announced. I don't even know what this is. Oh,
it was
Go ahead.
Yeah, it was pretty, like one of those obscure trailers, but it definitely showed that it has a certain kind of artistic style to it, and you kind of know it's going to be a detective mystery kind of game. Who knows how like I said, the actual game function will play out, but did a good job for a announcement trailer.
Usual June has been announced, a narrative action game from Finji development team led by creative director Adam Saltzman. Usual June looks to feature a mix of third-person combat and adventure game story choices. I thought it looked okay.
Mm-hmm.
Probably a pass for me. The Odd Gentleman revealed Harmonium the Musical. This game looked interesting, looked kind of cool, looked kind of fun. This is a sort of a musical action-adventure game starring a deaf girl. Which is really cool and exciting. So I'm interested to see how that's going to play out. My parents are interpreters of the deaf, so I'm adjacent to that community. I've seen a lot of it, and I recognize the signs of it when I see it out in public and so forth. So I'm very interested to see how they're going to handle this.
Fun.
There's another one that got me really excited. Dead Cells devs revealed their next game, Windblown. This is it looked to be like a 3-player co-op action roguelike game. What I saw really excited me. Looks brutal. They have that juxtaposition of like really cute animated animal characters and then just watching them getting shredded and ripped apart and crushed in the most gory ways and so forth. I loved Dead Cells, and I have a sneaking suspicion I'm going to really like this game.
I'm assuming we're going to be all playing that one, because it seems to be perfectly made for the Gamescast crew.
Indeed.
Mm-hmm.
Thumper Dead revealed Thrasher. I didn't play Thumper. Thrasher doesn't look like my cup of tea either, but good for them. Connor, just jump in when you have something that you want.
Yeah, I just saw colors with that game. Yeah. I didn't even know what the hell was going on.
Dave the Diver / Dredge announced a little DLC collaboration in Dave the Diver with Dredge, which is exciting to see that these two games kind of getting along. They're, thematically related, so it only makes sense to kind of stick them together. That's a really good marketing beat right there. Good job for those two dev studios for getting that together. World of Goo 2. Don't know anything about World of Goo, so when I saw it, I was like, what the fuck is this?
Dude, it's been so goddamn long since I even thought of this game. Because I remember back in like the day when they were still doing their... I was the Spike Video Game Awards. That was one of the nominees for like Best Arcade Game, I think they were calling it then, because it was from like the Xbox 360 era when they were just coming out with games like Braid and Limbo. And it was just like, I never thought I would hear this game again. Kind of a funny like what? What game?
Yeah, that's how I was the entire time. And it looked all right. It looked okay. It looked fun. Will I play it? Probably not, but it looked neat. Metaphor ReFantazio trailer shown.
Fantasio.
This is a new IP from the Persona guys, and that alone makes me in. I'm in. Yeah, go ahead. On top of that, the game looks pretty good. So, I'm in double.
Very stylized, and one thing I was finding out that I believe it played during the trailer is that we're going to have a voiced protagonist. So, yeah, right? Not Atlas's cup of tea. And I'm happy that they're going beyond just the Persona games, which I feel like they've kind of become stagnant with it, with especially Persona 5, with how much content they've released since that game came out in, 2015? They just kept coming
17.
out. 17. Persona 5, really? Damn.
Might have been a 16.
Yeah, Persona 5. No, maybe
it might have been
right.
It might have been 2016 in Japan, 2017 in the States.
Yeah, 2016. Yeah. 2017 worldwide. Yep.
Yep.
Look at you, Tavin.
I knew for sure it hit us in 2017. I knew that for sure. Metaphor ReFantazio. Yeah, I'm excited. To your point, I mean, I agree. You know what a Persona game is. They've found a formula with 3, and then they've kind of stuck to it and haven't deviated too much from it since. Each game is different in its own way, but for the most part, those games have found their own structure. SMT just kind of has a niche following. People who like it really, really like it. Otherwise, you're not really relating to it. So I think even leading off with, hey, these are from the guys from Persona, is a different, that's a marketing beat. And they know that. So that's why that leads that way. And I'm curious to see how it plays out. I hope it's good. Matthew McConaughey revealed Exodus, an RPG from ex-BioWare devs. They didn't really show anything. It was a cinematic trailer. Choices were being made, I guess. We didn't even see Matthew McConaughey in the trailer. It was weird.
Yeah, you're right. We did. I was looking for him, and then he just never popped up.
He's not in there.
No voice, nothing. This is so when it comes to these cinematic trailers, which like I said, this Game Awards had a lot of them. I actually like cinematic trailers. The problem is when it doesn't either give you anything in regards to what the game might play like, or more importantly, which this game is a victim of, not knowing what's the style, what's really drawing me in, because it just kind of gave off vibes of, oh, this is a sci-fi game that looks like a sci-fi game, and you're just like, oh yeah, we don't have enough of those, right?
When you say RPG from ex-BioWare devs and it looks like this, you probably get a pretty good idea of what we're getting into here. But it's just all right, you're a little too close to Mass Effect. So now we're just going to compare you to Mass Effect, and are you going to hold up? I don't know. That's a really hard thing to do. Mm-hmm. Callisto Protocol tried that with Dead Space, and it didn't really work out for them. God of War Ragnarok free DLC revealed, and it's out next week / this week. When is it out? December 12th. So
tomorrow.
By the time you're hearing this, it's out. It is a roguelike mode called God of War Ragnarok Valhalla. Looks like it is going to have some type of story, narrative beats to it in the story of Kratos and so forth. I'm excited to try it out. I didn't realize it was coming out tomorrow. I'm going to download God of War Ragnarok tonight and be ready for it tomorrow.
Tell me how there's narrative reasons to jump into it.
Connor, I'm going to tell you there's gameplay reasons to jump into it, because the roguelike mode in God of War 2018 was really cool. And so this being its own standalone thing, I imagine it's going to be even better. The Untitled Goose Game team revealed its next game, Big Walk. Looked cute, not as appealing as Untitled Goose Game. So I don't know if this one's going to work on the same level. I hope that's not their expectation. But it did look like a fun little cute game.
Yeah, I mean, I actually do think this is a game that could just come out of nowhere and be really, really cool, because it obviously has a quirkiness to it.
Yeah.
Nice landscapes, all about traversal and puzzle solving. So, those kinds of games could be really stand out and create a big conversation, or just kind of fizzle out when it comes.
I love the name of that team, House. That's a great name.
Mm-hmm. Hey,
go ahead.
They've hit the names. Untitled Goose Game, Big Walk. They just they catch.
They are we are these simple guys over here, man. We don't, we're just figuring it out. Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown showed off a trailer. Cool. It was dope. I'm excited for Prince of Persia. This continued my excitement for Prince of Persia: Lost Crown. I can't wait to play it January 11th. Ninja Theory showed us a new Hellblade: Senua's Saga trailer. This was probably one of my disappointments of the show. This is the third time that Senua's Saga has been at the Game Awards, and it is the third time that they have eluded us with a date, and it's getting a little fucking ridiculous. Actually, it's not getting a little fucking ridiculous. It is fucking ridiculous. Not even just giving us a year of 2024. What? What are you talking about? The fact that this isn't a spring game is absurd to me. Now, maybe that means Xbox has something planned for the spring of next year, but it should have been this.
Yeah, this is a continuous problem where when a game is announced pretty early on, it usually just kind of makes you go, okay, where is it? When years later you don't actually have a release date or a semblance of when exactly it's going to come out, which they were able to do here. But how many, like you said, we've seen so many trailers from this game, and it's just like, okay, at what point are you going to show? Like, we know what the game's about. At this point, you're just showing us stuff that we could already find out in the game when we play it. Just hold off until it's almost ready to come out, and we'll get another trailer. I guarantee you that when we actually
we have to have a trailer that gives us a date. So
yeah, how many more other than that? I don't know.
Unseen revealed action game Kimori, studio founded by former Tango Gameworks creative director Ikumi Nakamura, showed a CG trailer for its first game, which has not yet been signed with a publisher. We got an idea. We got a cool art team. We got a cool game team. You know, here's a game. Somebody find us. Somebody pick us up.
You know what I was reminded of when I saw this trailer, Tavin? Brink. Remember Brink? The game that had a cool.
Don't do that. What? This game looks way more hopeful than that game ever did.
That's not true. That was super hopeful when you first saw the reveal trailer because it had cool parkour and it was going to be like a multiplayer shooter. And then I think it did well with the parkour elements. No?
I played that game for like maybe 20 minutes and I was like, this game does not play well at all. Ori team Moon Studios revealed no rest for The Wicked. This is another just kind of CG trailer, right? There's like fragments of gameplay in it, and it looked good. I'm excited. Moon Studios is a very talented team. Ori and The Blind Forest, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Was one of my favorite games of that year to come out, and so yeah, they just know game feel. They know how a game should feel, and that's important to me.
Different tone this year with their game.
Sega announces the return of Jet Set Radio, Shinobi, Golden Axe, Streets of Rage, and Crazy Taxi. Polygon did not lump this together. Sega themselves lumped it all together, and I didn't understand it at the time, and I still don't understand what happened here. Will we ever actually see these games? Who knows? Because it doesn't seem like Sega has a lot of faith in any of them.
Sega, man. You could do it. We know you can.
They're weird. Dragon Ball Sparking Zero announced. Connor, do you have any idea what's going on here?
I am very familiar with Budokai Tenkaichi, which is a Dragon Ball fighting game that I still do not know to the end of this day, because it's very much well liked by people that played it. But at this point, it's very much become a meme, because there's a famous video, you might have seen it before, of Goku fighting against Jesus. I don't know if he was actually in the last Budokai Tenkaichi game, and I hope he was, so he could be in this one. But arena fighters usually kind of suck ass. That's kind of the issue with anime fighting games. I love anime, and I would so want a 2D fighting anime game. We got it with Dragon Ball, the Dragon Ball fighting game. I just blanked on the name. Fighter Z, which kind of prioritized flashiness over substance from when I played it, but it's still a very fun anime fighting game. And despite other animes not making their own 2D fighting games, this one, as far as a 3D fighting game goes, seems to have a good track record. So I'd be interested to see how it, mechanically plays and how many characters are going to be in there, because they're known to have a lot of characters, even obscure Dragon Ball characters, and that's what the fans are hoping for now, especially because it's been so long since we got the last one, whenever the hell that was. So yeah, it looks interesting enough.
Dead by Daylight spinoff, The Casting of Frank Stone, has been announced. This is a single-player game set in the Dead by Daylight universe. Cool. Cool for those who care. Do people care? I don't know. Maybe?
Yeah.
Let us know.
Yeah, I think so.
Square Enix announced a new Mana game, Visions of Mana. Cool. That's exciting for Mana fans. Are you interested, Connor?
I might be. I've been interested in the original Mana game,
Secret.
Tales of Mana, Secret of Mana. Yeah, I've been wanting to play those older games, and I always like when these old RPGs kind of JRPGs make a comeback and start getting new entries. So I hope it does well, but I don't really have particular interest in it.
Something I wasn't expecting at all. Rise of the Ronin got a release date of March 22nd, 2024. Not a game I thought was coming as soon as it's coming. Very excited to see that it's coming as soon as it is coming. That game looks awesome, and I'm excited to get my hands on it and give it a whirl. And then here we go with the big contentious moment. Kojima Production teased its Xbox horror project OD. This is the one that has what is her name? Hunter something.
Hunter Schafer
in it, and a couple other people going on in it. Jordan Peele, famed filmmaker Jordan Peele, is connected to the project in some way, and is collaborating with Kojima on it. I think if you've been paying attention to Kojima and sort of what he's been doing and how he's been moving, this kind of makes a lot of sense. And it's clearly going to be a horror game. I'm very, very excited for that. I've been wanting ever since PT and the teases of Silent Hills. I've been wanting to see what a Hideo Kojima horror game looks like, and this is going to give it to me, and I'm very excited. Him walking out of the PT door is awesome. That I think is a great circular end cap to all of this. And am I excited for this game? Yes. Am I excited enough to listen to them talk about it for 10 minutes? No.
Yeah.
Come back to me when you have something more substantial, Kojima.
It's cool that he's getting a second chance to do his horror game. Though there's one thing, and this isn't necessarily a bad thing. In fact, I find it more humorous than anything else. Kojima, more than anything else, wants to just make movies. And I think this trailer really kind of shows that, being as photorealistic as possible, using bigger name actors. I think
if he wanted to make movies, he would go make movies.
But he talks about it. But he's in the gaming sphere. He has his connections there. He's established himself there. I agree he could go and do other things, but
he could have left it
how often?
Time. He could
have left it anytime. How often though, Tavin, does he talk about video games in comparison to movies?
Oh,
I feel like at this point
he's a cinephile,
movie guys, yeah,
for sure. And he wears his inspirations on his sleeve, obviously. But he's had dozens of opportunities to bow his head out and say, all right, I'm done with video games. He's had so many opportunities, and he just keeps coming back. I think he enjoys doing the movie thing, doing the cinematic thing, having all these big, heavy things, and doing cool stuff with gameplay. He's a guy who likes to push this medium forward and push it to the brinks of what can this medium do. He's done it with every single title that he's released. Does it always make for a great game? Absolutely fucking not. But when he hits, goddamn does he hit.
Maybe he'll hit with this one.
And I'll say it. He doesn't have a bad game.
Yeah, I can't think of any.
Yeah.
Except, of course, for Death Stranding, which is a lame-looking game.
No, that game's great. Jurassic Park Survival. Single-player Jurassic Park adventure game, Jurassic Park Survival.
Did you ever play...
No.
There's this
Jurassic Park is a lame franchise.
One
great movie, and that's awesome. And then it stood on the shoulders of Jeff Goldblum for a decade, and we should just let it go.
You never played the 2004-5 side-scrolling platformer where you're in a suit of armor and you don't look like you're even related to the real world, much less Jurassic Park world.
No,
you didn't play that.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I can't even remember the name, but I played it almost too much.
There we go. Black Myth Wukong shown a new trailer coming out August 20th, 2024. Looks good. I'm interested.
Very stylish.
This strikes me as a game that is going to get high 7s, low 8s, and I'm not going to play it.
You say that now, but wait until it comes out and people say it's one of the best games ever made.
Yeah, we'll see. Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League is back with a new trailer. Still scheduled for February 2nd, 2024. They didn't do anything to whelm my concerns about this game. So, which granted, I don't know what they could have done. I really don't. I guess we'll just have to wait and see what happens with the game. But I think it's pretty much been decided that this is that this game is dead on arrival.
people were not happy about that gameplay that we got a little while back, and it was so much poorly received that they delayed it. But everyone kind of does realize, what are you going to do? Overhaul the entire game and how it feels to play?
Remake the game, they can't do that. Warframe update: Whispers in the Walls gets a release date of December 13th. Cool.
When are they going to make just another Warframe? Because this thing's been out forever.
Well, why? It pays their bills.
I guess it does, but I feel like you could improve this game even more if you were to put it under a whole new game. But I guess they're, like you said, they make some money.
Probably one of the most exciting things for me in all of these announcements, Assassin's Creed Origins, Bayek founded his own game studio, and they've announced Tales of Kinzera Zhao. I think I'm pronouncing that right. And it looks good. Like some Metroidvania-esque type things happening here. Gets me excited in the same way that the Prince of Persia, The Lost Crown gets me excited. This game looks good. I want to see more, and I hope it leaves as good of an impression on me mechanically as this trailer did.
So I didn't know who Bayek was or who the guy was. Obviously, he was from Assassin's Creed Origins. I just now found out he's the main character.
Yeah.
Is he just voicing or doing the main character in this one as well, or is this his own personal game that he's making? Because it sounded like that's what it was from what he was talking about it.
Might be a little bit of both. I couldn't tell you. Game studio headed up by voice actors. Oh, we'll see. It looks good so far.
Yeah.
Don't Not announced Lost Records Bloom and Rage. This one this is the one that the title treatment made it look like Lust Records, and I was like, what the fuck kind of title is that? Oh, Lost Records. Got it. Yeah, I kind of like tuned out on this one. This one didn't capture me.
Yeah. I have no clue either.
Connor, here we go for you. Wild action game, the first Berserker Kazan announced. Nexon's next action game looks over the top, says Polygon. What did you think about the first Berserker?
I looked extremely cool from a stylistic standpoint of it being like a dark fantasy, which, check, already like. A dark fantasy Souls-like game, check. But it seems to be going for the more flashy side of things while retaining that Souls-like combat, which, coming after the Lords of the Fallen, which came out this year, which was, in spirit, very similar to the older Dark Souls games with how they played, but just felt a lot lamer, especially with enemy variety. Showed me the pitfalls that can exist with Souls-like games, while Lies of P did the exact opposite, showing me how great they can be, while still being a very hard clone of Dark Souls and all those FromSoft games. But this one seems to be trying to carve its own path with the way you play, while still retaining itself as a Souls-inspired game. So this is probably one of the top things that appeared during this game show for me. I really enjoy this.
Yeah, I thought it looked cool. It was definitely a game of, like, while it was playing, like, we were just yelling, Connor, this is so your shit. Like, this is you right here. So, yeah. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth theme song was revealed. They had a little performance of No Promises to Keep with music by Nobuo Uematsu.
Yep.
Nailed it. There we go. For the first time publicly, this played over with some footage of sort of some in-game scenes that are happening and a little bit of a trailer, and then they revealed the full trailer after the Game Awards, and the trailer was fucking awesome. The song is great. They are lying to us in this trailer. They're lying.
You've been saying that.
They're doing something funky in it. Something is amiss here. I don't think it's Aerith on that stage, but we're gonna have to play the game and find out. Apex Legends and Final Fantasy are crossing over, getting a Final Fantasy Rebirth event in Apex Legends starting January 9th. Connor, is that enough for you to jump into Apex Legends with me?
I can guarantee you. Okay, well, I was going through the video. I was like, this is going to be boring, but then I forgot that someone's using the Buster Sword.
Yeah, baby.
And that's okay. Maybe Apex Legends is already a great game. I'm usually not really one to go into these tie-in bits for games. I didn't jump into Power Wash Simulator when it did Final Fantasy or Warhammer, so I'll have to wait and see. I say yes now.
You should have done it for Final Fantasy, man. That was great.
I should have. It
was great. 2 days before Prince of Persia, so who knows if we actually do it. Honkai Star Rail Next Destination shown. Moving on. Skull and Bones release date announced. I can't believe we didn't have that. It is releasing February 16th, 2024, with a beta on the way December 15th, 2023. So we'll be able to get our hands on some Skull and Bones. Connor, are you excited to get your hands on some Skull and Bones?
No, I'm not.
Me neither.
The studio in question has been iffy about certain accusations leveled at them. It's been very hush-hush. We don't know specific situations, but enough words have leaked out that make it seem more credible, especially since we've constantly had this issue with a variety of other game studios, and they've just been so, they've had so much trouble in pushing this game out. I think it's a game that they are, and we also covered a story on the Gamescast that the government of Singapore kind of requires, they had like a requirement to have this game finished or something like that, some deal that was made. So it really feels like they just are forced to put this out, and we're forced to continue making this game. And so the final product just isn't going to be up to snuff with what they were originally planning on being. So
yeah, the word is that dev studio is a circus, and I believe it. So yeah, we'll see, but I think it's just time to put it out and move on.
Probably.
Arcane Leon is making a Blade game. This is my most fucking hyped reveal of the show. The guys from Dishonored and Deathloop are doing Blade, baby. Let's fucking go.
Blade being a character that uses, of course, katanas and also guns as well. I'm just so excited to see what they're able to pull off with this cool ass character, because Arcane, I wonder if it's going to be like in the same way with levels like Dishonored, like Deathloop, or are they going to just go completely different? Maybe more successfully than they did with Redfall. But this one just seems to have a lot more potential behind it, just on the kind of game that it is.
Yeah, I think we're getting that Dishonored Deathloop level design mixed with a more actiony gameplay. I think they're gonna dip even further into the action with this one, and I'm super excited to see more. This is one of my favorite game studios in the world. Dishonored 2, Deathloop are some of my favorite stealth action games ever made, and the idea of them making a Blade game is just so fucking perfect. Like just a perfect matching over there. I'm very excited for this. Twisted Metal Season 2 got announced. Cool. Lightspeed LA announced The Last Sentinel. Fully original AAA futuristic open world game, according to general manager Steve C. Martin. I know I was into it when I watched it live, but what do I think? Oh, yeah. This game looks cool. This game looks cool. It's, again, a CG trailer and all that, but it was a good trailer, and I'm excited. I want to see what this what the narrative brings, how gameplay works, and so forth. This is giving me some good vibes. I'm interested in that.
You're already kind of kicking it off with the cyberpunk style, which just it's kind of hard to not make that look good, especially with these CG trailers. So, we got to see what it's what's going to be built like, because Cyberpunk 2077 has kind of established itself as the cyberpunk RPG, which for most of its life cycle isn't a good thing. So it's interesting to see how this space is going to be developed with The Last Sentinel.
And then here we go. We have the first Descendant, the second first thing that we've seen, and right after The Last Sentinel, which is hilarious. The first Descendant release window announced, impeccably timed following the debut of The Last Sentinel. Nexon revealed a trailer for its upcoming sci-fi shooter, The First Descendant, and announced that the game will be released in summer of 2024. That's exciting. It looked fun. It looked cool.
Traversal seems to be a big part of it, with how she was flying, dodging those laser beams, whatever the fuck they were. Traversal in these kinds of games, if it hits the way they intend it to, if that is in fact something they're going to be focusing on, I think it'll live up to the hype this trailer generated.
A lot of Death Stranding vibes in this trailer. Like clearly, like they're going more action adventure based than Death Stranding, where Death Stranding is more of an adventure game. And yeah, they want some crazy cutscenes and crazy action and so forth. So I don't know. I'm interested to see more. Oop, I went too far, Connor. Went too far. What is this next one? Hoyoverse showed Zenless Zone 0. Okay.
I will say, I probably won't be playing this game, especially because it's a gacha style game like Genshin Impact and Honkai Star Rail have been. But the trailers that we've gotten are very well animated. If you look at them, they're very, a lot of expression is going on with the characters in these games. So I commend them on that alone, even if I'm not going to be buying this game or jumping into it.
Indeed. 10 Chambers announced Den of Wolves. Studio behind GTFO has a new sci-fi heist game that they've announced here. And I'm trying to remember. We're at the point in all this where it's like some of these start like melding together in my brain, and I don't fully remember everything that happened. And as I'm watching this trailer, oops, I clicked on the link. As I'm watching this trailer, I still don't remember this game at all. So
neither did I.
I guess it didn't leave a very good impression. I remember watching this trailer. I just remembered nothing about it.
But it's a concept, sci-fi heist.
Yeah.
It sounds pretty cool.
Shark Mob announced Exoborn Master the Apocalypse. This one, I don't think did it for me. The team behind Vampire the Masquerade Blood Hunt has a new open world extraction shooter. There you go, Connor. Vampire the Masquerade.
No, Tavin. Troika Games made Bloodlines. This is Blood Hunt, and the new Vampire game seems like it's not going to be that great. So that isn't getting goodwill, but I mean, it seems like it could be really fun. I mean, it's like obviously an extraction shooter with emphasis on very diverse characters, both in terms of style and in terms of hopefully them being completely different gameplay feels going along with these. What's the fucking movie? Elysium armor suits, which is what that first guy looks like.
Fallout TV show debuts new footage. It looks good. The Fallout TV show, it looks like they put a lot of money into it, and it's on brand, it's on theme. It looks like what a Fallout TV show should look like. So we'll just have to wait to see until we can actually get a better idea of what's going on here. Hello Games announced Light No Fire. This is the same studio behind No Man's Sky, and this is a something Murray was really trying to hype up, as he very famously does, saying, quote, the first real open world, something without boundaries. That's a lot of promise to make, and it's still a video game at the end of the day, but hey, I get to fly a dragon in this one. That's kind of cool. And it looks pretty. I'll give it that much. So like, not a hard no, but like, I'm not going to think of it until you put it in front of me again.
Yeah, my experience with the go around the world, collect supplies, and build up your outpost, and travel it. Well, when it comes to those games, the traveling aspect seems a lot more enjoyable than some. Like you said, flying on dragons is pretty cool. And if it is going with the something without boundaries, being able to fly a dragon basically anywhere sounds really cool. But you got to see more in depth of how that exactly stacks up to the words he's saying. But it is the new generation, and we're getting into the era where what are games going to be capable of? This might be that next game that really makes you show, oh, okay, this is what we got possibly in store for us with subsequent games in the future. But I don't know.
Simu revealed new Stormgate trailer. Cool for Stormgate fans. Elfelt Valentine is the new Guilty Gear Strive character. Connor, how do you feel?
You know what? I was iffy on her because this character was in the last game, Exerd Revelator 2. I know, a handful, but she was very much hated in that game, kind of being considered a cheap character, just based off how she just normally moved, but also if you got really good with her, incredibly annoying. But it's from we're a couple days after she had been released, and she seems like she's fitting into Strive pretty well. So. Nice. Another Strive character. The cool thing was the incoming announcement of a 3v3 game mode for Guilty Gear Strive, which, not very often you get that, where, I'm assuming from how they were talking about it, it can be controlled by a different player. Each, one of your party of three can be someone different, which, cool way to change up the multiplayer of Strive, since it's kind of become stagnant in recent years, with really the only thing worth looking forward to is new characters. Recently this year, they've made more mechanics that you can take advantage of that I haven't even mastered because I've stepped away from it for quite some time. But hopefully this is the beginning of a bigger turnaround for Strive, which has kind of left the public perception of fighting game players.
Cool. Final Fantasy 16 has a DLC coming, and they released a DLC trailer. Final Fantasy 16 DLC Echoes of Fallen. It's available right now, while The Rising Tide is on the way in 2024. Connor, how did you feel about these?
one, it just seems kind of like, a tacked on thing that doesn't really interest me. It was like a trial roguelike thing. I'm trying to remember what this was because it was definitely swept up by
I
the
think this was
Rising
more
Tide.
this was more like Combat Trials or something, and
Yeah,
Rising Tide seems to be like the actual story content that
it
would be
is.
happening. Yeah, yeah.
Because one of the things people were kind of upset about as far as the icons were is that Leviathan wasn't there. A very, very
Mm.
famous summon in past Final Fantasy games. But people did point out that there's some bits in the world building that shows that, hey, maybe Leviathan is right here. There's references to it. So it was only a matter of time before we finally got some kind of DLC for it. And I'm definitely going to play this game. My only issue is that due to the combat system of Final Fantasy 16, it doesn't really push me to want to replay it in New Game
Hmm.
Plus or on
Hmm.
though. Shut up, Tavin. Not God of War Ragnarok either. Shut up. But
But you'd rather revisit God of War Ragnarok, wouldn't you?
no, not anymore because I would now rather play this because a new icon, an icon that I personally like. I've always really thought Leviathan is cool, and based off how it plays out, these new icon abilities, it'd be more worth it. Not to mention, I actually do have a reason to go back to Final Fantasy 16, which is playing it on hard. I just probably won't. My bigger issue though is that while it is cool to get a new Leviathan set of abilities, due to the fact that it'll be probably received at the end of the DLC, unless you're going to be playing through the campaign again, there's not much of a reason. Well, there's a reason to have it there, but I'm not going to be able to put it to the use that I'd want to. I'm not going to be able to use it that much because I'm not playing the game over again, and that's kind of the pitfall of how the game is set up, where the only way you can get those abilities is by beating the icon, so you probably won't have much room to use it. But hopefully they find a workaround for that. But I'll play it.
X Dice Devs Shooter The Finals is out now. The Finals is something I keep hearing about in the background, but I know nothing about. Is it an extraction shooter or something? I don't know. Out today.
Yeah.
If you're following that, go get it. Probably one of the biggest announcements of the show. Capcom revealed Monster Hunter Wilds, heading for a release in 2025. Connor, you like yourself a little bit of Monster Hunter now and then. How did this do for you?
I wouldn't go so far as to say that. Mainly because I only got into it like 2 months ago, and I was left behind in the dirt by the friends I was playing with.
Definitely longer than that. It's probably closer to 6 to 8.
I'll have to look again, but
You have a terrible sense of time.
I'm gonna look that up now. You've challenged me. Yeah, this has to happen. But this does look very cool. Open world, more
I was still
original open world games.
I was still in my Nacogdoches apartment when you first brought up Monster Hunter Rise to me.
What?
Yeah.
I'm trying to find it, but I can't find it right now.
All right.
Look it
Well,
up.
moving on.
But I will say one thing that going into a full open world is going to possibly cause some controversy because it's such a long running franchise that people are used to the missions that you undertake. So they're risking their goodwill, but I think they're going to get it locked down pretty well because the core of what it is going to probably remain the same, and that's always been serviceable.
Yeah, I think they're fine. And then it didn't get officially announced because they meant to do it with their speeches. But Baldur's Gate 3 is available for Xbox now. Hey, Xbox players, go play Baldur's Gate 3. It's a great time. So that's it for the announcements. Overall, I'm satisfied with it. Connor, let's have a quick conversation before we wrap it up. What do we want to see from the Game Awards in the future and in the years to come?
Well, we'd already talked about it. Longer speeches for the people that go up there. I mean, the controversy people were going off on Twitter about was that people were getting cut off when they were saying some pretty heavy stuff, and it just came across as very tone deaf. We kind of talked about that at the beginning of the show, so I'll kind of bypass a lot of the stuff on that. I do kind of hope that two of the things that I'd like to see in regards to the specific awards is a best adventure category, which I've always thought kind of deserves to be there because adventures are pretty, I think, broad enough term for a lot of games that come out each year.
What would you put in that category? From this year, what would you put in that category other than Zelda?
Other than Zelda, Star Wars Survivor would work because it's an adventure game.
That's an action game.
It's an action game, but it's an adventure game. You have full open world control to go wherever you see fit. I think anything that is under that category deserves to be called an adventure game, since part of the game is
Connor, that would
exploration.
fit in either of the two other categories. That is not an adventure game.
Some games, though, weren't working for. Some games in the action adventure category weren't in the action category. In fact, they were completely different. And there's very little difference between those two things in terms of the difference between them. I mean, uh, there's a lot of games that come out each year that are like No Man's Sky. Not that specifically, but ones that are just entirely based on exploration. And those ones also would classify as adventure games, even if you didn't have the crossover between action games. There's other things you could pick.
No Man's Sky, I think, would fit. But again, like, okay, you pulled a game from 2015, and then you pulled a game from 2023. I, I just don't think there's enough to justify it.
I think there is. I just can't pull it off the top of my head. I'm not that.
I think there's more of a reason to
that.
have a survival horror category, and I don't think we should have a survival horror category.
Well, the other one I would say is be interesting. This is less. I'm less confident in arguing for it, which is that best studio. Since we always get best game direction, we obviously get best art style, specific departments in these game studios. But overall, I think that recognizing the studio as a whole could be an interesting category. Like for example, this year it probably would have been Larian due to the fact that they were just constantly updating with new patches, and there was a lot of community support for that game as well. As we can see it won that award. I just think it's better to recognize the studio as a whole rather than just either specific departments or specific people. Like for example, with performances, being a little bit more broad, I think could just be a nice little interesting addition to the award list.
I like the idea, but it is also like the sentiment kind of gets covered with best community support. Like,
yeah,
kind of gets covered that way. But
at the same time, though, community support's I think very a lot of it hinges on the gaming community pushing it into that category as opposed to just the studio doing its own thing.
Yeah, because I mean, I think probably in 2018, if we had this category, probably like a Santa Monica would have won it. Insomniac would probably be in there every single time that they released a game or something. And then again, it's like, how do you judge that? Who votes for that? This is, like, I don't know. I like that idea, but I don't know how you would do it.
Yeah, that's where it becomes a little dicey.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I'm kind of on a similar wavelength as you, Connor. Again, I understand the need to have a time limit for speeches in award shows. It just makes sense, right? Like, we don't want 8 minutes of some one guy talking. Like, we just don't. But 30 seconds was way too short. Bafflingly stupid mistake to make. And I think it will not be repeated next year. I think Jeff Keighley's going to take all of that to heart very, very hard. I'm seeing the headlines of like Jeff Keighley let the developers down, or Jeff Keighley let the gamers down, or this, that, and the third. And we can play into the hyperbolic nature of those statements all we want, but at the end of the day, yeah, you should extend those times out and let the award show be more about awarding things than the announcements of things. I don't know how you necessarily fix that. I liked the balance, with the exception of let's let the devs talk more. I thought the balance was overall good. It's just you just fucked up this one very crucial, important part. And that's unfortunate that happened. But yeah, just extending it out a minute and a half, 2 minutes, before you even, probably 2 minutes before you start the music, I think that's totally fine. And yeah, I'm excited to, I guess I'm not excited. I'm very interested to see how they respond to this. In terms of categories, I think it'd be interesting if we had sort of a rotating gambit of categories that would kind of come in and out. I mean, just like survival horror, like, does there need to be a fighting game category every year? I don't know. This year, obviously, yes, there had to be one. But, like, could we rotate some categories out and just kind of, find opportunities to have better placed awards for the years that they're in? I think this year a survival horror category would have been fucking awesome. There was a lot of great survival horror games this year, most of which hit my top 10 of the year. this year. Spoilers, for that episode. But yeah, I'm very, very excited to see what happens with that. But overall, I kind of like the balance of where we are with categories right now. Let's just, knock out the last of these hitches, and then let's get consistent. Can we get some consistency with the Game Awards? I think would be very, very nice. So far, it has not been a very consistent show. We've had consistent ideas and themes, throughout, but it's not always been the same level of quality every year. I would be okay with this. Just let the winners talk longer, and then I think we have the best that this show can be.
That is the best, the biggest takeaway and best takeaway from basically everybody. I'm going to predict right now that next year is going to be the best Game Award.
There's certainly a chance for that. Especially it being the 10th anniversary of the Game Awards next year. I thought it was this year, but it wasn't. It was only the 9th. I'm like, oh shit, that's right. We're 2014. So yeah. I think there's certainly a chance for that. Jeff Keighley's definitely going to want to go hard on it, and he's definitely going to take a lot of the criticisms to heart on this and adjust for it. I'm glad nobody ran up on stage.
Oh, with those guards there? No way.
Or at least like nobody had the opportunity to, at least. So I don't know what happened, if something happened, but yeah, it was nice that like the show went on without a hitch. There was just some production mistakes that we need to amend. But other than that, good show, great show even. And I'm excited for next year. Ladies and gentlemen, that is going to be it for the Penny Gamescast episode 177, and that is going to be it for the Game Awards discussion this year. Thank God. I feel like we've been talking about the Game Awards for a month straight. And so remember, you can get this show every Tuesday at 8 a.m. Central Time, youtube.com/@2pennygames, and mainstream podcast services of your choice. Until next time, have a great time. And Connor, say goodbye to the people.
Goodbye.
Aggressive. Jeez, Lord alive. We're friends here, Connor. Lord.
Goodbye.
There we go. That's a little better. A little monotone, but it was better.
Not better? Okay, good.
Better. Okay. Bye.
Goodbye.